G'day gamers, welcome back to the channel. Scrub here, and we've got another Broken Arrow match review for us to dive into tonight. This one's on the map Baltiisk. I did my best to vote for a different one, but unfortunately this is the one we're running. I have more or less a love-hate relationship with this map. I think in one of my earlier videos I spent a good section of a video just complaining about it, so I will try not to echo those thoughts here. Still running my AMPV deck, which is, doing quite well, where we're getting up there in the elos, currently sitting at 1242. So dude, I'm gonna be honest, it's surprising when you kind of like start matching with good teammates. Like, you just fly through this game. But then you kind of have some games where you gain like 50 points and others where you lose like 9 or you lose 50. Standard opening on this map. But before we kind of dive into the actual game itself, I kind of wanted to thank everyone who did leave a comment in the previous video discussing what elo we should consider, low elo to kind of end at, and I feel fairly certain stopping it at 1400. That kind of seems like a nice point to kind of call it there. So when I do eventually get to that point, that will be the final low elo match review. Of course, I will still do match reviews after that, but I think it's probably a good idea to kind of draw a line in the sand where it's like, yeah, this is kind of we're getting into the medium leagues. Saying that, I've had like a lot of good comments from the last video. I had an interesting yarn with a fella named Rised. Forgive me if I didn't pronounce it correctly, and it seems like he's also running the AMVP deck himself. And he brought up a really interesting point when it came to like the actual effect playing a deck similar to this that's super micro intensive actually has on you as the player. And I was thinking about it a bit more, like it makes complete sense. But like, in essence, because of how intensive the game is and how you're so fixated on kind of playing and moving stuff around, you get caught in this like more or less like doom spiral, or you feel you're doing worse than you actually are. Like in the match review, in my previous one, like all things considering, it did really well across that match. Did a good point. I made a bunch of mistakes, but we did really well. We were able to capture D, we were able to get it at the correct points and all that good stuff, but it just felt while playing the game that I was in a really bad position, as well as like coming back to the game, I felt like I was putting a ton of pressure on myself, when really it's just kind of like, nah, you're all good, you're doing great. So yeah, if it's interesting to see, if I'll be keen to hear if that's kind of if that's people's experiences with other decks, and really playing on this map for sure has kind of made me tempted to give Armored Airborne a shot, because I make a really, I make an early error in this map, which within this game, which I kind of, I suffer through for the rest of it, but I don't make it my immediate priority to push towards those skyscrapers there, and we more or less get sandwiched by 2 players for the whole game. But it's a good game nonetheless. I feel like the AMPV like combo is starting to kind of get a bit of steam in the community, because the 2 people I was versing, who was like red and yellow, like these guys knew exactly how to counter it. So it was really interesting kind of having that super like versing someone who just kind of didn't fold to it, and they were like, the moment they would bait units onto the objective, either not control it or like capture it, and the moment my Morse team would hop out, even if a Delta Force was there, a Terminator would pop out of nowhere and just completely brap me in like a second. Or they would be purposely microing the Terminator to target the Morse team, so the RRC team couldn't deal with it. Which is like, it was really fun to actually verse. I lose my mind and I get real salty when I'm playing it, and I'm pretty sure my wife came in and she was like, you need to stop getting so angry. But yeah, it was just one of those games. All love to everyone else, all the love to everyone else in the team. But I think we do have a support player who only plays air the whole game. Like, I'm not entirely sure if that's the case. I do look at their kills at the later part of it. Sorry, look at their kills in the final match screen. But yeah, he did great. He got a bunch of kills, which is, good on him. But focusing on the game right now, so this is kind of a critical mistake I made. I didn't actually put an effort into pushing those buildings right there, so you kind of move the whole zone of control and give a bunch of ground to my opponents as they're kind of like pushing towards C. We can see that I've done my best to kind of sneak this little SOF to get a little bit of a view on that, like get a bit of a view from that, what do you call it? Overlook section, which is pretty much key when fighting on this side of the map. If you don't control that hill with recon, you are in a very rough place. You know, so we do actually we do spot and kill their snipers, but unfortunately we do kind of get our position shown and we get a tank come and run in our face and immediately die. Little bit of stuff going on right now with the AMPV kind of did its thing. I was able to like micro my dudes out of that, you know, so they didn't really take too much damage. Unfortunately, not really taking the best advantage of the smokes right now, as these. Let me try and get a. What are they called? Yeah, just these infantry boys have a really good ability to just be able to pop my transports, and unfortunately, I don't really respect that, and I lose an AMPV quite early on. That's, you know, really quite fine at this point. I probably could have been communicating with my team a bit better to request a little bit more support, because normally when I'm playing on this map, I go with this deck. I normally go. What do you call it? The objective just to the left, and then I assist whoever's fighting primarily on C. But I think I just didn't have enough stuff at the start, you know. Now I actually am communicating, because we are going against 3 players, and we've got a Terminator, you know, charging us down to go and kill those Delta forces, which is you know, that's going to be the whole game more or less. But we do have a pretty good ride, at least in the early stages. Could honestly be pivoting right now, noticing the fact that we don't have control of those skyscrapers, and the line of controls are very deep into this thing, is to prioritize purchasing my smokes early on, just getting them immediately out onto the field so I can take advantage of the fact that we're able to just like cover the field and then not get those sneaky explosions come at us. Dropping up the Moors team, shooting those. Unfortunately, get a little bit of line of sight block. Line of sight does get blocked as we run up. Overlapping fires from that AGL team completely chop apart the Moors team, as well as the RRC, and unfortunately the Terminator comes in and just clears us up in a second. So we're definitely versing some people who know their jam, and they know what they're doing. Trying to doing my best to keep a Delta Force on the objective itself, because it's we don't really want to lose it. But actually, you know, it probably wouldn't be the worst if we did lose it at this point. It would. My biggest concern, honestly, was like I've played games where we've lost C, and the opponents have kind of capitalized by completely charging towards our tree line, and the game just falls apart at that point. So that's something I was really making an effort to do, to like make sure it doesn't happen, which is probably why I'm. Oh, here we go. Look at that. We've got my smokes out now, so I'm actually doing good. You know, look at that. 7 minutes into the game, and we have smokes. We've got a Delta Force that's kind of injured, as we got another, a Barbarous coming up to the map, prepping for smokes to kind of provide a bit of covering fire and holding things back, moving some dudes up to get a little bit of a recon. Where are we now? Okay, so probably do we get the... Yeah, cool. So yeah, the AMPV pulls out just at the right moment. Delta Force taking a little bit of damage, so we mic them inside of a building. Airstrike coming in to do its things, but we still got the Delta Force on the field to kind of deal with any of the infantry that are going to pop out of this once as soon as we do it. Barbarous drops the boys off into the building. We got the Delta Force there to kind of hop right in. Doing my best to move the Delta Force, the SOF out. AMPV is able to mop up this unit, and we do kill the Barbarous, I'm pretty sure. But definitely not a good trade. We have an opponent who's very aware of his play, and I think a lot of this game is more or less me coming to terms with like playing with someone who's actually able to, you know, properly contest the point and properly able to, you know, micro their infantry. Keeping the being a little bit passive and keeping the AMPV back, but I don't have any additional reinforcements to be able to assist with this. Calling in additional supports to be able to hopefully have some additional units to be able to push. Not going too good for my teammates on E, and it also looks like H was a complete bundle. I did have a quick skim of this. Match beforehand, and to just kind of find out what happened to H. But he did a single rollout with a Osprey and a single plane, and then he just immediately died. So H is completely gone, and I think he's doing his best kind of like playing between all the objectives, but it's definitely I'm not a huge fan of this map. I always complain about it, but like it's just too close and everything's like You either have a team that's super like focused on teamwork, and you're able to push and actually have like some nice grounds to like be contending. But you get these weird situations like this where like it's more or less me, and now we've got Green on here as well to help with his push, but he's kind of being a little bit static and passive and not really pushing towards those buildings, which is on me. I could definitely be telling him to do that. Focusing on some mistakes I'm making right now, we've got a AMPV without a Morse team, just kind of chilling on the objective. We really don't need to be doing this stuff now. I have completely made a miscalculation in the fact that I think there's actually more teams still alive as we kind of bring the AMPV back onto the objective to kind of hold it. Moving the Delta Force into the middle, come into this big cluster heck of our dudes in there, just kind of doing their thing. Learning from my last game to micro my units a bit separately, and to let the Delta Force lead when running into infantry because we can get easily popped. Tons of smokes going in there. BMP2, unfortunately not going to be able to really do much for... Delta Force won't be able to really help that much when it comes to the... do we get across there? Yep, we do get the kill. But yeah, unfortunately, AMPV is popped. Not really much can happen with the AMPV versus a BMPV. You know, they're just going to kind of really trade out, and I've made a mistake of not having my Morse teams up here. That's fine. You know, it is what it is. A bit of a tense game going on right now, and I think I do communicate to my teammate for him to move his Morse teams up to kind of assist those tanks right there. Doing my best to micro these Delta Force around to kind of make sure they don't easily die, because they are a little bit pricey, and which is one little mistake I have noticed that I've been making is I'm not actually from a previous game, I'm not actually like properly reinforcing my units. Like I'll like bring them back to the supply dump and get too focused on other things, and they won't actually be reinforced, and I'll just send them back out and they'll immediately die. So that's kind of a little bit common. AMPV coming in a little bit too late, exposing my side armor, which thankfully we don't take too much damage. Smokes are down, so we don't really have the ability to be able to smoke up the field and get close to there, but we are out of our Delta Force at this moment. What part? What are we doing here? Doing a little bit of damage, yeah. So we are trying to kill these guard. What are they called? Guard+Motor streaky? I don't know. Probably need to take a lesson in Russian to actually be able to read all these units. Providing some covering fire to be able to easily like pull my units out. Unfortunately, you know, unfortunately getting absolutely bombarded by artillery right now, which isn't the best. I think Red pretty much I think majority of my kills actually do, sorry, a majority of my deaths do come from artillery, which isn't super nice. I'm making the mistake of kind of pulling my units back without actually calling them back to properly resupply, because at this point, you know, we've got what well, no, to be fair, probably a good idea to be hanging on this objective to at least control it. Terminator coming up to do the Terminator thing. Doing my best to bring some smokes out, getting the AMPV to pop some smokes to break that line of sight with that retreating AMPV. However, being a little bit predictable with my movement patterns, and I do think we get some counter artillery from where this artillery is going. Okay, now the AMPV does manage to escape. I have brought up a flash, Green Beret flash, to kind of chill over in that forest to the right, because that's kind of the biggest area where I'm most concerned about getting a little bit of infiltration coming in from the opposing team. Because if they do get back there, they can get directly into my lines, and we're in, you know, not too hot of a good position. 2:20 left on the clock. Smokers doing their thing. Shora's taking a bit of artillery fire, which goes to say we probably got some recon units in that hill right there, because from my own experience, if you're in that hill just to the right there of the objective, you're able to see directly into this like nice little tree line right here. So they were able to see my Shorad unit, and that's for why that was happening. Having a look what's going on right now. trying my best to kind of signal stuff on the field to assist my teammates with their airstrikes. 1 minute 42 on the clock. Probably could be calling up some additional AMPVs to be able to like get a little bit of a get some additional units for the back line. The secure attack moving these green berets to like, you know, keep them active and moving around in case anything tries to sneak through. Getting some nice, preparing to get some smoke going on this objective as I'm anticipating a push coming from the red and yellow. Completely messing up my micro. Like, this is something like, it's weird. Like, I feel like what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to individually select each of them instead of just doing like a command for the whole group and then selecting a single one and then doing a command for that one. Bringing some additional RRC to go and assist these green berets in this objective here. Heading into 55 seconds left of the phase. You know, overall, kind of a neutral game. We have taken some casualties. We're up on kills. We are controlling objectives. We do get, I think we do actually end with getting a +1. Prepping the smokes to go, not having them on hold fire, but we go into 30 seconds remaining on the clock. Unfortunately, push coming a little bit too late to push us off the objective. But units are not really in position to be able to effectively counteract this BMP push coming in. I've got the Morse teams out there doing their thing, but Delta Force is kind of pulling back a bit. 2 Terminators pushing on 2 mid. This is going to be a little bit brutal after the game ends right here. Complete misplay on my own part right here, expecting the... bit of a misplay? Nah, it's just a bit of brutal because he had the Delta Force coming in. I think my intention was to get the Morse team out, then get the Delta Force in, then pull them back into the building to get a bit of cover. Do they survive? Oh, probably a bad idea to move them that way. Terminator's coming up to mop everything out. That's unfortunate. Doing my best to kind of manage this micro here, but we are in a bit of a tricky situation. Doing a 2v1. Come on, AMPVs, you can do it. Oh, it's tricky with all this smoke. We're able to effectively like hide from the Terminators, but not be able to get those shots up. Moore's team coming from green to kind of run in there and do their thing. Surprisingly, the AMPVs are holding up quite well on the Terminators. We do get it. Oh, we get another blob of dudes coming in. Big old infantry fight going on here, and I do pull my guys out, which probably means we're going to be... Do we actually hold the point? Oh, Terminator's still there. BMP rushing through. Yeah, bad mistake. Moore's team's not targeting that Terminator for some reason. I think we do kind of lose everything right now, as we're getting some counter battery on the smokers. Making sure to roll out a bunch more supplies to kind of reinforce these guys. AMPV is immobilized, but we do have another Delta Force up nearby, which is good. Floating a little bit of points. Unfortunately, we do get counter battery. Kills those 3 units right there, which is a mistake I'm going to learn from in the future, is that when I'm retreating, to not do a predictive movement pattern, because all the opponent really needed to do then was blind fire artillery, and he was able to kill those 3 units. And that's a big issue, which I'm going to be, struggling to kind of recover from a little bit. And looking at it now, that's kind of like a pretty, key mistake I made. Got an F-22 up, once again making a mistake that I did from earlier in the game, where I decided to do an airstrike while I'm focusing on actively macroing something, and we do charge an AMPV directly into the view of a tank. Not really taking advantage of the fact that I've got this quick moving infantry that I can run behind these buildings. But do we catch the takeout? That'll be the question. No, we don't know, because we turn it away just to take advantage of this push of what's going on here. Enemy recon has been spotted. Unfortunately, we do lose the Moors and RRC team again from overlapping fields from those skyscrapers right there. We do get some kills coming from the F-22 that did kind of fly in there, but unfortunately not really amounting to much when we did lose quite a number of units there, and it probably would have been a bit better to be focusing on other stuff, but still definitely in the stage of the match I was kind of in that emotional zone, really focusing on just kind of staying alive. But when isn't a game like that? So we are now in this awkward position where we've lost quite a bit of steam. Yeah, I think it's tricky. It's tricky this map because it's such a brutal beat ground right here, and I keep making the same mistake of just like yeeting the units through that point there. I could honestly be fast traveling them down the road and moving to any real point, because the artillery just hitting is like, that's brutal. And we lose the RRC? Yeah, we lose the RRC as well. Now that's okay. That's probably. I wonder if that's actually laser guided. Looking at it now, probably is laser guided. Where would they be able to see? They could probably be seeing me from... Well, they don't even need to really see me because I'm just moving back from the exact same point. Like, I'm running through those forests there, which slows down my AMPV. And even if I just fast move to, like, further back where these supplies are, they would have survived because the AMPV would have been stuck in the forest. Okay, so what are we doing now? Not really. Yeah, I'm focusing more on assisting my teammates right here because I do have enough points to get an F-35 out with the Sentinel. However, I don't really think that is... We are taking a lot of damage from the artillery. Bloody hell, look at it all. And look at that right there. Alright. That's almost... That would almost be beneficial just by the fact that we'd be able to get this artillery off the field. Just sitting, you know, just completely being blown apart by artillery. So yeah, maybe it is a good idea to kind of focus a little bit on air support right now while my units kind of cool down. Well, what do you guys think? Like, this surprisingly happens a lot when versing, at least in my experience, when versing Russia. You kind of get caught in this position where you're more or less just kind of sitting around being plinked by artillery with not much going on and not much you can really do. Pulling up 2 RRC squads. Not enough points to bring up the Delta Force, but that's all good. We do have 1 Delta Force on the field. Definitely a bad idea to be making this move to head back to there, considering there would be recon going on this map right now. Sorry, there is recon with eyes on my positioning right now, so all they really need to do is just, you know, target the church with the recon they have on that hill right there, and then just pop my dudes and immediately die. Big push coming from red right now. Popping smokes to keep that shore right out, moving the position so we don't get counter artillery that much. Bringing up another AMPV with the Delta Force. It honestly probably would have been a better idea, yeah, definitely to bring that Delta Force back to resupply. We're in this tricky place now where we've got, you know, we don't really have the units we need, or even just bring up a tank to be able to, like, you know, look down that main road right there and just provide some covering fire. Because the Set 3 would be able to easily chew up those tanks right there. Do we get strike? No. Maverick run coming on the left from the airborne player. RRC squad just up on that hill right there, done a little bit of sneaky sneak. Terminator squad, Terminator pretty much waiting there for me to pop my AMPV up. Definitely could have just given up the point right now because you really don't have the resources to be able to, you know, easily. This is. Yeah, that's a mistake. Just completely microing these AMPVs off for right. Oh no, that probably was where they're going to be spawned over there. Dude, why am I YOLOing that AMPV? Is that a misclick? I don't think it is. No, we're just running to the back line, like, to go and kill some stuff, but like just lose 270 points for no bloody reason. Alright. You can see I was a little bit tilted right here. Instead of actually like focusing on what really works. Like, dude, those AMPBs get torn apart by that BTM or whatever it is. What is it? A BRM. Completely tears the AMPV up. That's frustrating. Well, a little bit of a waste going on right here, but you know, there's a completely healthy Delta Force unit with an AMPV that could have been pulled back to help, you know, counter that C push. Which of course is a little bit fun. Counter battery coming towards those M106s in a really bad position right here, dealing with a little bit of tilt, but that's kind of what happens sometimes. We got these mech engineers, which I think the idea was for me to yeet these guys forward to kind of provide a little bit of some chump dudes to be able to push towards C and, you know, deal with these little boys as everything else kind of rolls up there. Do we get some smokes off? Bloody hell! I got to turn off my Steam notifications. all my friends are playing games, and they're disappearing. Bringing up the SOFs, Terminator there, unfortunately, but the whole point of these dudes is to be able to, like, you know, just kill some dudes and be a little bit of a weasel. Charging the SOF over there to kind of, you know, I don't know why, just a little bit of a waste for sure. Mech engineers doing their thing, moving the mech engineers up as the AMPV rolls in to deal with that Terminator. I have a feeling that this C point probably is going to be pre-sighted right now by some artillery just waiting for me to move in there. But, you know, that's kind of what I would do if I was on the other side and I kept dealing with this. And I knew thingamajig, if I knew my opponent would just be charging stuff onto the middle. SOF YOLOing the mech engineers. A little bit too, you know, could have been going a bit towards that building right there, but that's all good. That's not best. Yep, now get in there. There we go. I almost need to keep the Delta Force back to deal with any infantry coming up and have the, like 2 more recon teams up close in their AMPVs doing that thing. Like, this is the thing which I was trying to, like, I was yapping about at the start of the game. Like, if we just controlled those buildings right there, if we had weapon squads, oh, that would have been terrific, because we could have, like, taken all this pressure off. So if they wanted to push into C, the AMPV unit with these, like, bruiser guys could probably do their job. I'm kind of cluing up to it now and moving my stuff up to go, oh, if I actually control these buildings, we'll be able to get some really nice, like, line of sight on shit and just pop stuff. Which we do manage to get over here, but unfortunately, there's a surviving AGL team which completely tears these guys apart. We pull the AMPV out right away to hopefully, you know, save it as well as save these units inside because they are very low. Kind of a waste to send the Delta Force over there when we could be YOLOing something a little bit better, or even hell, having a tank over there, because the tank would just pop that bloody building from far away and it wouldn't really have any issue there. I'm definitely feeling the pressure that my opponent is exerting, and here we go, we're doing another meme run. Getting a little bit of a view into the back line, because look, there's really nothing here. So if we just controlled these buildings, we would have been able to have like a way better, you know, way better time dealing with all this stuff. Big bar build up on the right here, looking to push towards that the side over here. Ooh, what are we doing now? Bringing up the F-35 to kind of figure out what's going on. These Delta Force really aren't having a good time, as another barb pushing from red comes towards C, as well as a Typhoon and another what are we deciding? Yeah, I'm spending way too much time on my artillery. Oh, there's one. And go for a bulky. Go for that. Oh, we got to go for the other one. That'd been better. Does the Delta Force get out? Place your bets. That'll be the thing. Okay. We get it. We get one. We get the I don't think we get all the artillery, but we might have got a good chunk of it. Barb pulling up, not dropping their stuff out until they see the Morse teams. I'll be able to easily pop them then, which is kind of really waiting for this, but I'm hoping that the fact that the Rangers are there, we can really do the good thing. Misclick from old fella over here. Oh, a little bit of misclicking, he doesn't drop the guys off in the correct building, otherwise those Moors would have been completely dead. Delta Force being chewed up on the left of it, slowly running away. Complete little accident going on there, as these guys should have definitely been you know, at least running from the buildings to break some of the line of sight. But we're calling up another AMPV unit. And finally bringing up something that isn't, that's a bit more cheap and easy to use. Talking to Riser, I don't know, but he brought up that he's been using in his games, focusing on the cheap infantry units just to kind of like have as a little like static point defense. Like even though they're going to die and they're not going to really be the best or like, you know, do much, they're just kind of there to deal with anything that's yeah, just to kind of be there to deal with anything that acts as kind of a speed bump, which is, you know, a little bit of the idea. Lost the Delta Force, lost the RFC squad, you know, moving on to an objective that was pre-sighted, unfortunately. Ugh, that's rough, but it is what it is. What are we doing now? Gonna rage quit, I guess. Bringing some more Moors teams up. We got... Oh, damn, dude. No, this is a mistake. They're gonna die. Oh, this is brutal. Yeah, I don't really realize that they are at half health and there's like 3 dudes in there. While, you know, the point gets turbo rushed. Unfortunately, we are gonna lose. We're gonna lose it again. Which is, you know, it's kind of not the best and a bit stinky, but what can we do? There's nothing for us to do here, you know? I wonder if I've actually been taking a bit of damage from this Brutus guy. Yeah, the brother. You know? It would have been a lot nicer if he actually bought some... Let me look, he's actually got some dudes over there. Yeah, I was kind of having a look to see what he was actually doing. Because I'm like, I'd much prefer you, like, bring some units up to actually help the point that we needed on instead of just shooting artillery, because like a lot of the time the artillery really isn't needed. Like, what's it going to do right now? Damage some guys? Like, it's not going to win us a point. But it does look like Brutus is doing, sorry, Brother is doing a little bit of push on the right there. Definitely getting caught up in the tilt phase, but I am making a smart decision in regards to not like YOLOing to C point, because there's really no point, you know, committing resources to it now at least. Our brother's doing alright. Okay, let's have a look. 1 kill. Yeah, so we're doing pretty good. You know, I think we're probably like, outside of Brother and his artillery, we've probably got the highest KD. That's pretty good. Okay, so where are we? I'm taking a moment. I'm getting salty. I'm a salty little boy. Even though I'm, you know, if any of you guys are from this game and you're watching this, I apologize. I was being a little bitch. And not really, you know, being aware of what's the match is like and actually making the wrong decisions. But, you know, it can't all be good. So, end of phase 2, moving into phase 3. Got a really strong presence on the right from our team. I've, you know, interesting enough, yellow and red aren't pushing us right now because they kind of got us in a killing blow. They could, you know, push through C, push to B, and really solidify their strong position on this side of the map. But it looks like a lot of people are pivoting towards right over there. So we're slowly kind of building up all our stuff. You know, it'd be really good if I could get some like cheaper transport in here, just to bury those mech engineers and stuff in. Because having some mech riflemen, even though they're pretty bad, they're not really the best. But having some mech riflemen be able to just like pop a Terminator if it comes close, or even do enough damage to it so my my Moors teams don't get completely chewed up. Oh, this is brutal. Dude, I'm completely unaware that AMPV has like 3 dudes in it. They're all gonna die the moment they pop out. That's brutal. Yeah, just taking a moment right now to kind of, you know, readjust, do some breathing exercises, you know, spit salt, be a little bitch boy. As I'm now kind of realizing, oh, actually no, brother's doing all right. He's doing quite well. And he's doing a good job supporting us and stuff. But yeah, just taking a moment to kind of like take a second. We don't really need to push right now. We've got 12.5 minutes of a match. We're not anywhere near the final 1 point, but we don't want to we want to kind of take the moment to put up enough units to be able to like do an effective push and then even move a bit further past, which would be, you know, really, really terrific. But yeah, just take the time to get into a strong position. Green is kind of doing a little bit of a creeping advance right here, which really isn't doing the best, as Red is slowly moving his units forward and kind of solidifying his position. So the only way for us to really break this is to do like a big not a Hail Mary, but just to do a really strong aggressive push towards C, just to kind of get them out of his zone right here. It would be cool if we were artillerying, but you know, smacking back those skyscrapers, because I'd kill those dudes for sure. Terminator, you know, hanging around behind those buildings right there, doing their thing, waiting for us to kind of make the push, which is probably expecting. I wonder if you probably could, like, if you smoked where you think their recon is to kind of get a bit of advantage, to, like, push and not have them see it as early. Do you think that would be a good idea? Maybe that might be a cool strat. I don't know. Lime Grim applying a bit of pressure to B right now, which I think gives me the the go ahead to push towards this point right here. Red is kind of being a little bit passive and stationing his stuff, like waiting for me to move in there. But unfortunately, in a battle that comes down to like what's going to win, like some Delta Force or your Chump Boys, I think the Delta Force will win. So here we go. We're starting the advance. We've got the Mech Engineers and the Riflemen coming in another AMPV. Noticing now on the map there are some tanks in reserve, probably waiting for this push. So we're sending the cheap bait boys up first while the Delta Force moves in. And trying to look for a good place to place these snipers, but really none of them. Like, once again, a mistake which I'm very, very familiar with is, deviating my attention at a very key moment when we should just be focusing on this micro. Could honestly be bringing up my Moors team as well to provide a little bit of an anti-tank, because Terminator rocks up. I'm not going to really have an answer for that. Outside of the AMPV's Bushmasters, as well as the Mech Engineers, the Mech Riflemen. Tons of smoke coming in as a little bit of counter battery going on right now. We know there is a BMP right back here, which we can just kind of shoot, pop, and do their thing. AMPV moving a little bit up. Get nice and close to that building right there. Tanks moving in on the left, which will hopefully be, we'll see how we deal with that. Delta Force going after these boys as we start to capture the point. It goes to show that we really don't have, moving up here, probably not the best decision. We could be going after that Terminator right now, which is yeeting itself with all its intensity towards my, Delta Force. Mech Engineer, Combat Engineer, being the little weasels they are, come on, what are we going to do? I think we're out of explosives for sure. Oh, this is going to be brutal. Come on, guys, survive. Hoping to just drop these Morse teams out and just completely pop it. And now I realize my mistake. Like, oh shit! Do we get it though? Oh, pulling them back in and charging back in to go for the point, but the AMPV is waiting, and I think we do manage to. Yeah, we do manage to get the Terminator, but unfortunately, I think we have lost the Delta Force. Oh, we did manage to get it back. Doing a little bit of a strategic runaway right now, as we are definitely caught out and not in the best position, as counter artillery and comes flying onto the point. Second, we got another Moors team moving up, as well as Delta Force hiding behind the thing, doing their thing. Maverick Run coming on mid is able to deal with those tanks pushing right there. Tons of counter battery coming in. We're getting a lot of being completely the attention. Sorry, we're the focal point for all the artillery, which is not fun. Say what you want about the cruise missile meta, but like this is awful when you're a single person, getting spanked by bloody free lots of teammates' artillery. That's always fun. Particularly when we've got this. There's like nowhere else on the map. There's other places on the map where they could be shooting. Once again, yeeting my AMPVs and my guys directly through the forest when we're all slow and we're not really doing much. Will we survive? That is the question. Probably not, as I don't think I've learnt this mistake. Oh, we'll see. No. I honestly could have a Comanche just sitting in this forest right here, like along that road, because that would have been really nice to be able to deal with any of these like little cheeky boys coming up. Oh. That M901 is doing wonderful. It's just like taking a ton of artillery and shit. It's taking an absolute metric ton of artillery. As well as just being a little weasel and saving me at that point right there. I wonder if that artillery going to that hill right there is... I have to have recon in the town. I could honestly be using that Bradley to move up and do the recon game. Because right now we're in this awkward position where like we do control C and we're kind of holding it, and we're forcing them to apply it, to put attention on us. Boom, 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 getting those going. Yep, but unfortunately not going to be enough supplies. They are doing the Hail Mary YOLOs right now. Hail Mary shooting just open to kill some stuff. Running into the building itself to, minimize the damage we are taking, but bunch of, little yellow boys charging out, doing their thing. Unfortunately, in a little bit of a rough position as we've got nothing there to support this C push. Support these units as they run off C, which I think we're going to be losing this, and it is a bad idea to be remaining there, for sure, because they're just going to be immediately chopped up by those, anti-infantry units. Brutus could be shooting that, but that's all fine. They're doing their thing. They're doing master plays somewhere. Moore's teams are going to go. RLC squad is going to go once again, dropping C point. Put all this effort into capturing it, but I didn't really have any units in the back line to be able to come up and assist with that. As I'm bringing another, Moore's recon team up when I should really be having some more Delta Force or even mech engineers, mech rifle. They did quite well. Even these two Bradleys could have been helping a bit more. Which I think is why I'm having those, the Brad do like attack move for the C point to kind of get a little bit of figure out what's going on. At this point, I realized my mistake. Like, look, you know what? We've got 5 minutes left on the clock. We're really not in a strong position. I could be doing so much better right now. Like, there's no point pushing this point when we don't have enough units to actually properly guarantee us capturing it. So I might as well just pop smoke, pull the Delta Force back, and prepare to prepare for an actual final push that will actually matter. Oh, big, little bit of crazy push towards G right now with a bunch of Spetsnaz units and paratroopers. Probably not blind artillery coming into the shore ad. We would be being seen from the buildings right there. Contemplating if it's necessary to bring some units over here to help my teammates, but not really necessary. Could be yeeting that sentinel up to get a little bit of a view of the backline there to see if we can do anything, but I think I've made the right decision to kind of take a second, chill out. We've got something here to do its thing. Making sure, you can actually see me making sure that I've actually got, I've actually, brought a unit up that isn't half dead and gonna die. Because, dude, I probably would have, been in a lot better position with that initial Terminator if everything was actually at full strength, because they would have just popped it immediately and not died, Okay, so 4 minutes left on the clock. Teammates doing really well on B point as well as the other point to the right there. G point getting kind of tons of counter batteries, so we're quite close to losing that, but I'm kind of preparing to do a little bit of a to pray towards, pushing towards C. And calling up these RSOV and, you're calling up these RSOV. It's not going to be good. Should be definitely focus firing that Terminator right now. Hop into this AMPV. Okay. I'm interested to see what, okay, so what, we got the tanks doing their thing. Trying to go for the front arm. I could definitely be hopping in that building to minimize the air. I should have jumped into that building. That was a misplay on my behalf right there. If they hopped into that building, that would have done really well. AMPV moving in, now going to be getting those side shots on the tanks as well as the Terminator, which do a ton of damage. I'm going to clear this up right now. Thankfully, Green has done a turbo push towards to the right side of C right now, just drawing a ton of attention, giving us an opportunity to push forward. And I was just saying before, I brought up these RSOBs with these mech engineers and riflemen to be able to provide, I think my plan was to yeet them into these buildings just to the right of C to kind of add a little bit of a buffer there to make it a little bit harder for any infantry that would be pushing towards my C point. Delta Force doing a little bit of a scour around the outside because we aren't capturing it at this point, which means there are units somewhere here. This is our point of finding it. Committing to the Giga push right now. We need to get the units onto the point and to control it so we're able to get a clear idea of what's going on. We do find the infantry that is the unit that is holding it, and we do manage to capture it. So we do manage to kill it so we can start capturing the point. Getting the mech engineers, and riflemen nice into this building right here to provide a little bit of a fire towards the infantry that will soon be charging to my position. because you know, if I've shown anything to my opponent, is that the moment I kind of yeet my stuff in, you know, the moment you see my Delta Force, I'm going to be charging my very vulnerable and weak Moors teams and RRCs into your face as well to deal with your infantry. 1 minute 40 left on the clock. We've now got 3 players on this point. We've got Dark Red and Light Red. Light Red's pushing towards, you know, towards B point, but we've got this RSOF in the back line just being a little bit of a weasel. Huge micro mistake here, leaving these AMPVs not protected by one of the buildings, and we take a little bit of damage, but it doesn't really stop us right now. If I haven't learned my mistake, I'm doing it. You know, I'm going to learn it now this time when I, you know, charge my Delta Force AMPV, which are known for dealing with vehicles directly into the enemy's rear line for, you know, a reason. Looking at what we can do with this F-35 right now, with 60 seconds left on the clock. Could honestly be like Control A, just Q moving all our units right now just to get them pushed directly across the field. Biggest consideration right now is to not lose use any high value expensive units, so that we give the opponent an opportunity to, you know, claw back a potential 3 points on the kill score. But we are quite far off that, which is good. YOLOing a F-22 Raptor, which is, you know, probably not a good idea, as I'm not going to be able to like trade that well up in this awkward position. Could definitely be focusing more on keeping my units alive. Bloody hell, they just tear the AMPVs apart. That's brutal. Yellow now pushing toward doing his counter push towards midpoint, as well as Turbo push towards you know, right side as well as B, but unfortunately I think it's too late as we're coming to 3 seconds left on the clock. And that is game. There we go. Very close for sure. Super fun to play. Very intense. Definitely got a little bit salty during this game when I was playing, and it could probably be seen by my micro, but I learned a lot of lessons. You know, got to respect Terminators. They're kind of crazy. You know, it's similar to the last game where I learned like, oh, I can't just like blind charge GRU. We should definitely, like, you know, be a bit more smart here. I gotta, like, you know, do the same for Terminators, because they absolutely tear my infantry apart. Particularly the Moors and RRC team if we're not too careful. Looking at the kills and stuff, so we did all right. Yeah, we got like, what's that? 1.9, which is, you know, that's pretty good. Second highest kills with you know, square man right there, you know, about the same. He's got a bit more kills than me, and I probably would have been a little bit higher if I was you know, a bit more aware of where I was sending my units, because I'm fairly certain I lost like most of my units actually died just from either, you know, not being restocked and then being charged into something and just immediately dying, or being bombed by artillery, which is you know, wicked. So yeah, probably, yeah, it goes to say, look, von Zait, yeah, von Zaiti, I guess that's how you pronounce it. The guy I was versing in mid, he's got the artillery medal, which would make sense because I'm pretty sure he killed all my stuff with artillery. Brother got a pretty high KD, which I'm, you know, would be fairly certain because of his artillery there, but he did a great job. You know, Airborne Striker is an interesting deck, and it would be interesting to play. It would be really interesting to try a airborne armored deck on this map, because I think if we were just to like push those buildings early on and actually like get to those skyscrapers, this would have been completely different, because my AMPVs would have been able to easily like you know, control this point or like hide around in the buildings and stuff, and like it would have been a different game if we, you know, controlled those buildings. Okay, now going to the history, let's look at this. Okay, so Delta Force absolutely cleaned house with some AMPVs doing some good work, but F-22 strike did quite well. Oh, I'm still scrolling through this way too quickly. That's frustrating. Rangers team killing 2 BMPs, but here we go. Oh, look at, okay, we'll go to the top. Yeah, this is fair. Terminator's killing a bunch of stuff. There you go. Look at that artillery. Delta Force AMPV, Moors team RRC. Bloody hell. More artillery kills. Jesus, look at it all. All my kills are coming from artillery. All my deaths, sorry. Now taking a peek at what else is going on here, and then looking at Brother to kind of see how he went. He was, you know, he was doing all right. Like a lot of air kills for sure with his bookers and stuff. Not much infantry, but Brutus is doing their thing with the artillery. Okay, yeah. So interesting. So overall, cool game. Definitely, like, a couple of lessons we could probably walk away from this is that to, you know, respect the map that is Baltiisk. Controlling those skyscrapers are really key, and if you don't control them, kind of be prepared to kind of have this awkward overstretching into the C point. We surprisingly, if you do kind of gain, my opponent or our opponents didn't really push too deep into our lines when they did get the opportunity, because there are a number of points if they did push after like capturing C, they would have been like able to just completely like push us all the way back, like so that you could probably take that into your own games where you do kind of gain tempo and you do kind of gain control of C, and your opponent has suffered quite a number of casualties. Just like YOLO it, man. Just like push directly into their lines, and like even if it's to like you are able to get back there, kill a bunch of artillery, or even just like move it for a little bit. What are some other things looking at this game? Definitely could be focusing more on what's actually happening on the screen instead of doing airstrikes. It seems like every time I call it an airstrike, I'm about to do like something important is about to happen. Either we're going to be charged by some tanks and they did a microvat, or we're like resupplying a unit and we forget to resupply them, and then we just send them to the front line with like 2 HP. So yeah, definitely need to be going into the future focusing on looking at the units which are focusing on the units and the interactions which actually are mattering on the field at a given time. We could also, take a step back as well as focusing like, okay, in this game, I didn't do as good as my last game, but we did, more or less take the attention of 2 players for the whole game. Like Green was coming in there and helping, but he was kind of being a little bit passive and not really not really doing enough building hopping for it to really matter. I think he was probably like focusing on airstrikes or just completely focusing on a different side of the map, because there were a number of times when like if his attention was just at the front line, we would have been able to clean house. Like there were good times where like those tanks came up and we had to ping to get the Moors out there, as well as when that huge Terminator push came up, that would have been really terrific. Definitely when facing on Baltiisk again, I'll make an effort to be contesting the town just to the right of that C point. If I do go C again, which I more than likely will, just having control of that, you're able to kind of like, create like pivot the pressure heading towards your opponent where they're not able to like get free movement into town, and they kind of have to make sure to control those buildings. So the moment I did kind of get there, I did start controlling a couple of those buildings. Even though the units there weren't too good, it still created a bit of a speed bump for my opponent. But if they were to push through and were to get into C point, they'll need to kind of actually go through those guys. Yeah, I think that's kind of the main big things. Or as well, like to expand on it a bit more, like not to get too tilted. Like I got super tilted, but we were doing all right. I was making dumb mistakes and dropping the ball on a couple of things, like microing my units through forests when they should really be going around like the outside, or even fast moving. Like fast move retreats, I've had, they're kind of hit and miss at times, because sometimes they will literally run your units in front of, the enemy. But if I was just taking advantage of that main road, I probably would have kept my Moors and Delta Force alive a lot longer. And yeah, I think that's kind of it. Of course, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this match review. I'm going to probably return to my old upload schedule, as like last week was a bit of all over the place, but we'll see how we go with that. Looking to kind of get a couple of videos pre-recorded and up onto the channel ahead of time to kind of take the strain off, just the normal weekdays and whatnot, because I'm, doing these at night time when my kiddo's asleep and all that good stuff. And as you can probably see right now, we've got the deck on the screen. So if you want to copy it, copy it here. I'll include the actual deck URL in the description. So hopefully, that helps you, if you want to play this deck and give it a shot, go ahead. Otherwise, if you want to make it yourself, the only things are, so you got the Delta Force with the close quarters. I'm fairly certain the RRC squads are also close quarters. Maybe I'll include an amendment in the pinned comment that I make if it is actually, if it's not close quarters. And before we go, that Race guys had an awesome chat, and he suggested to use SST teams more as well as tanks. And I think this match would have been excellent for tanks in particular, particularly on that big long main road. I wouldn't have had half the issues I did with those AGL squads just wrapping my infantry down to like 1 HP if I just had a tank there providing fire support. Like seriously, that would have been terrific. Even if it was a cheap tank, I could have brought a super cheap SEP, shoot from afar away, and that would have been perfect. But yeah, of course, happy to have you all watching. Thank you for the watch. Leave a like, comment, or all that good stuff if you're interested, or even subscribe. But of course, if you don't, I'm still happy that you enjoyed the video. Anyway, hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and yeah, see you in the next one.